And we're also going to bring in DC's People's Champ as well. Well, welcome, Dujanay. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to get to celebrate. Dujanay, you've been a member of this team, I think, for 5 seasons now. So 4 or 5. But it's been a long time. I really appreciate your insight on all different sorts of sports. I know that you're in racing season, so I know you're a very busy guy this time of year. Give people a quick update on what you've been up to.
Well, we just got back from the Gator Nationals last weekend. That was a great season opener. We saw some call out races that had some side bets of $1,000 and $5,000. That was amazing. We're coming into the second race this season. We've had a lot of interviews. Was able to talk to Brian Loans, one half of the Fox broadcast before the season started. We have an interview dropping tomorrow. A guy who's going to be debuting at Phoenix. He's running 9 races this season, owns his own Top Fuel team. Buddy Hall, he will be, that interview will be dropping next or tomorrow. And we're going to be talking to Doug Foley here in a couple of weeks, another Top Fuel driver. So lots of stuff going on, lots of articles being processed and put up. It's been busy.
That's awesome. I'll just introduce Champ real quickly. Champ's been a part of our podcast network here for a long time, being part of the True Radio Network. He does the No Spots podcast. And how are you doing tonight, Champ?
I think Champ is double muted.
I think so. There. Nope. I don't. The video is so good tonight, but now the audio. Something. We've been fighting the video. You gotta love technology.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, let's try this again. I'm doing that because tomorrow morning is the finals of the New Japan Cup in Japan. I'm excited about that and the match that's happening there, but I'm doing well. I'm excited because in week after next is WrestleMania. I'm so excited. I'm always excited for WrestleMania. That's like Christmas for wrestling fans is WrestleMania. I'm so excited.
Yes, I am excited for you guys. I know how excited this time period is in the wrestling timeline. And I love your guys' breakdown. I lurk a lot in your channel, and I learn so much because I don't actually get a chance to watch a ton of wrestling myself, but you guys do a great job breaking it all down. So if you don't have the time to watch it, you should definitely check them out. And I know that Dujanay loves doing the live shows over there as well. But let's get into the XFL talk real quickly. I know that Dujanay's time is limited, so I'm going to get Dujanay's and Carol's thoughts first, and then we're going to get Champ's thoughts as we roll into our NBA talk in our next segment as well. Dujanay, we haven't had you on in a couple of weeks. The defenders keep rolling, and they've been looking real good, and they've been playing some quality opponents in what I think is maybe the most exciting arena in the XFL. You know, I give the Battlehawks a lot of credit, right? Their fans are right up there with ours as being some of the best fans. This we knew was going to be a battle. It was a battle in Washington a couple of weeks ago. It was a battle once again. What were some of your thoughts on this game?
It was as advertised. They have good fans, but they don't have a beer stick. So they kind of lose out on that, in my opinion. Okay. So until they can get a beer snake or something like it, they're like second place. But these are 2 great teams that went after it. I thought McCarron made some pretty big throws and some big moments, but boy, this Defenders team continues to, they become whatever they need to become in whatever game that is. And this weekend, it was running the ball. Just big run after big run, had the 70-yarder. Smith was just all over. I think he had like 218 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. You had King with a touchdown, which is our quarterback room is very diverse. King hasn't had to really unleash it too much because his feet get the job done. But man, and when you talk about defending, our defense does a good job of that. And I was not surprised at the end of the game when the defenders came up with that interception. It's just indicative of what this team does. They're opportunistic. They play like a Greg Williams defense. At times they do give up a little bit, and against a team like the Battlehawks, it's expected. But when it's time to bear down, they get it done, and they take the ball away from you. It was a heck of a game, and the defenders are just, like you said, they just keep rolling along.
I agree. I love the running game. Carol, can you speak to that? And the combo of the defense, but that running game and some of those runs were just incredible, man.
Yeah, what's his name? Aubrey. What is it? Smith. Abram Smith.
Abram Smith.
That dude. Yeah, he on that 70-yard run. It was beautiful. He hit the gap, hit the stretch. He made his cut, and then it was one man to beat, and he turned him around and left his jock in the middle of the field, and then he outran the cornerback who took a great angle, but he couldn't catch him on a 62-yard run. Another good cut, and showed his power with the guys coming after him, reaching at him. So this is the first game I got to, actually sit down and watch. And I like the offense, the quarterback, they always say in the NFL, the 2-quarterback system wouldn't work because boom, boom, boom. But XFL, we're seeing it work. Excuse me, number 10, I can't pronounce his name, so I'm not even going to try.
Tamu.
Tamu. Yeah, I ain't want to mess it up. He's elusive when he gets the ball and running, and he has a quality arm. Knight, I haven't seen him throw, but whenever he gets in the quarterback position, he's running people over, sprinting to the end zone. So that's something that you rarely see is successful. And the offensive line plays very well.
Yeah.
The passing game, I haven't really seen much of it, but they're a run-heavy team. Defensively, like Dujane said, Greg Williams' defense, you're going to give up some plays because he gambles and is aggressive. But they're in the right place. They're doing what they're supposed to do, and it's taking perfect passes or the perfect play call to beat their defense when they're being aggressive. So even if they do get something, they're even behind the chains, or they're even just still trying to get some momentum because the defense has been dominating the whole time. The only weakness I see with this team is the special teams. They give up a lot of big returns with their modified kick. I kind of like the way they do the change of possession / kickoff, that less collisions, all the players standing. When the player receives the ball, then everybody takes off, so you have less high-speed collisions, blindside blocks and stuff like that, so player safety. And as we've seen in this game, and unfortunately with the defenders, you can break a big one in this style. So maybe if the NFL is really about concussion protocol, maybe they adopt this into NFL, because it's definitely going to save collisions and players with CTE down the road and injuries.
I agree with that, and it gives you a real. Right now we don't have real returns unless your kicker doesn't have a leg. So I think this enables this would enable the kick return and the special teams on that kickoff to be useful, because right now it's not that useful.
Right. I mean, it's so exciting that we have this run game. So Abraham Smith leads the XFL in rushing with 432 total yards through 5 games. The next closest player is 255 yards. So, he's beating them by almost 200 yards here through 5 games. And, that's just something incredible. And no one had gone for more than 60 yards on a single touchdown all season, and he did 2 in 1 game. So like it's a special player, and they're starting to find themselves and just at the right time. And I'm just so excited about some of that. I want Dujane and Carol to talk a little bit about this defense, especially this ball hawk, and how even though he gets burned by on a bad touchdown, he comes back and gets the big interception to seal the deal. And he's been doing this all season. Can you talk a little bit about this defense and their ability to turn the ball over at key times?
Well, I think it starts up front. They get after it, but I also like what they do on the back end. It changes. I know, Carol, being defense, you see that. It changes a lot Sometimes you'll see them come across and you got the linebackers kind of spread out, and then you got your corners playing maybe like 5 to 8 yards back, but you also have your safeties. They're not really inside. They're kind of almost to the outside of the hash, almost as if they're bracketing the outside guys. And then you kind of have your linebackers kind of push back into that zone where more than likely your safeties would be. They do some different things there, but what they do allows them, if you saw on the last interception, if it goes long, the safety takes it away. And he just so happened to be able to jump up, make a nice play on the ball, and take it away from the wide receiver who didn't really attack the ball. And I think that's the difference. Those corners really do a good job of attacking the ball. All those guys in the secondary, they attack the ball instead of waiting for it to come to them. And I think those little bracketing things that they do with the safeties, it's very interesting. Very interesting how they do that. And it seems like over the 5 weeks, no one's had an ability to really, in the critical moments, be able to beat that. And it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting to watch. I mean, like I said, the Battlehawks had a really nice long touchdown pass. It's expected. They play very well, but overall, man, it's some of the scheming and some of the mixing up in that linebacker to cornerback safety area is very innovative. And it's, like I said, it's indicative to what Greg Williams likes to do.
Yeah, you mentioned the long pass to Joe that Joseph got beat on. If you look at it, it was the safety. Safety bit on the safety bit on the pump fake, and he took that extra 2 steps to the right, which cost him. If he'd have been in position, it should have been a batted ball or an interception.
Yep.
So, but with being a good cornerback, you got to have a short memory, and he knows what's out there, and he's leading the league with 4 interceptions. So when you have the leading league in rushing and interceptions, that's normally a good combination, that you're doing good things on offense and good things on defense, which goes into Greg Williams. They're working to, this is what I would love to see the Commanders franchise, the offense and defense working together. The offense running the ball, controlling the time of possession, keeping the defense fresh, defense going out there, and when it's time to make a play, they make a play. It doesn't matter who's out there, who's hurt, who's healthy, what scheme, what formation, no excuse. They go out there and get it done. That's what a real football team does. And they feed off each other. Like Dujane was saying, with the defense that Greg runs, he's taking more risks, but he has the fresh personnel to do it. He has trust in his players that they know where to be and know what to do.
And they're very disciplined.
Yeah, exactly. They know where to be, and they're not gambling. They're trusting their teammates to be where they're supposed to be at, so everything works together. And then they feed off each other. So even if the offense, we saw the offense, get held up on a goal line stand, did the defense go out there? Well, I can't try to score, but no, they went out there and got them off 3 and out and gave them back. They gave up 3 points the next drive, but what happened after that? 62-yard run, 7-3, 8-3. So I mean, they're playing as a team. The coach has them playing some solid quality football. And if you remember, the first doctrination of the DC Defenders were a pretty well coached team, and we saw some positive things from them. So we're seeing kind of the elevation of what we saw in a 1.0 and a 2.0, and they're taking it to a whole nother level by being 5-0, dominating on defense and having other teams' defense trying to figure out their offense. They know what they're going to do, but they can't stop it. Remind you of the old, glory days of the Hogs when good old 46 gut, they know it's coming. They call it out, but they couldn't stop it. But they keep running it until they stop it, and nobody can stop it. So I say keep on doing it, and that's what they're doing. They're playing quality, smart football. I hope Ron is watching and like, yeah, this shit really works, and started incorporating something into the command.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just excited that a DC team is all about defense and all about running. And this is what the stuff that we really wanted. And that's why I just shared it to a bunch of Commanders groups, and I probably will get a lot of flack for this, this coverage. But I really hope that
for that.
Yeah. So it's just for me, it's important that those fans root for this team too, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that you have to think of it as like a minor league team, right? Like, I don't think it's like you wouldn't not root for the Hershey Bears because you root for the Washington Capitals, right?
Right.
And I just, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, it doesn't hurt you to root for them. So I'm going to share to those groups, and I hope that they're watching 5-0, exciting football. We've talked about it a bunch on this show, but I can't stress it enough for maybe those who are just tuning into our XFL coverage for the first time. The transparency in this league is inspiring. And
I love it.
we need more of that. And it's just,
Hey,
yeah.
Man,
can't forget the Deer Snake.
Yeah.
When I watched it, I got to get down to Audi Field because I have opportunity to get tickets, and I'm gonna get down there. But that crowd, they are some
wild.
of the wildest. I'm like,
yeah, they ridiculous.
I'm like, this is the inaugural season. They partying like this been about 10, 15 years. And like, we got championships. They out there loving it and enjoying it. That's the way football is supposed to be.
Yeah. I gave Rev T a lot of credit. We had Stuart Small on this, show a couple of weeks ago. He's a season ticket holder. I know a lot of people that are season ticket holders, and tickets are cheap. So get in the ground level with a team that seems exciting. I'm praying. I don't know if it can happen, but I'm praying, Carol, if we make that home playoff games, the way the playoffs are set up, and people don't know, there's one playoff game in the North and one in the South. It's between 1 and 2 in each of the different divisions. So it's basically a conference championship game, and one team gets to have a home thing. So that's why getting a home field advantage is everything in this.
Yes.
So because the Super Bowl, whatever it's called, XFL Bowl, I don't know what it's called, but their equivalent is going to be in Houston. We already know that. It's in Texas somewhere. But so this is your one playoff home game. So fight for it, get it, because that's going to be wild. Because I think, we haven't filled it up quite yet. It's been kind of filled, but there's still pockets open. We make it to a playoff game, that place is going to go nuts. And Carol, we've got to get there. It's going to be a Saturday night, 7:00 game.
Let's just say if they make the playoffs, I have an inside track to get tickets.
Yes, I want to go with you. So I'm going to try to make it work. My wife has an event that night. I have to try to get out of, but I really want very much to if we get there. So anyway, that's why this win.
I'll put the bug in their ear, let them know to hold 2 tickets for us.
Champ, you want to go?
Three. My bad, champ. I see if I can get 3.
Yeah. Hook a brother up, bro.
That'd be awesome for the 3 of us to get to go to a football game together.
All right, all 3 of us. Bet. I hit him up after the show.
Yeah. So I would love for that moment, and that's why this win was so big. I don't want to understate this win, because this is the second place team currently in the division. Now, Seattle's kind of on the rise, whatever. But it doesn't matter. You need to beat the teams that are right behind you twice to solidify the tiebreaker in this. So it's a big win that we won in both stadiums. And so it might certify that the next time we have to play them happens in Washington, which is what you want. So anyway, but we've got 2 exciting games to talk about that are coming up. I don't want to keep Dujane too long, but I just want to get your thoughts quickly on the 2 matchups, because there's one this week, which is actually the Monday night football game, which is kind of exciting that there's actually Monday night football.
Yeah.
So we're not on next Monday, so I hope that everyone who's a fan of this show tunes in and roots for them in this game. And then so that game is against the number 2 team, the team that had been undefeated up until this week. So what are your thoughts on this one?
I think that the defenders are better than the Roughnecks. It's in DC. I think that's going to be a really big deal for this football team. The crowd is definitely going to be in it. But I really do think they're more polished than the Roughnecks for sure. I think the ball just keeps rolling, and I think they win. I don't think their heads are too big, and I don't think the coaching staff is going to allow that. They're just hungry, and the defense is going to continue to eat, and they're going to continue to adapt to whatever the defense is giving them, whether it's they have to pass a little bit or run the ball. But this offensive line is blocking pretty well, playing ball, and controlling the line of scrimmage. I expect them to win at home.
Yeah, the Sea Dragons are good at home, but I was still very surprised to see them beat the Roughnecks. It was a close game. It's 21-14. The Roughnecks have done a good job of coming back in games in a similar way to like the Battlehawks do.
Yep.
It's been really interesting. The defenders really are behind in a lot of first halves, and then they come back in a lot of second halves. This game was a little bit different, but not that different from that formula. But we did have the lead earlier and we were able to hold on to it, which I was excited to see because it's something a little bit different. You need to win a bunch of different ways, but
Right.
it's still, you had to hold on for dear life at the end a little bit, which is what the XFL way. They're trying to get these games close at the end with
Right.
how these rules work. And then the next week that we have, I just want to get your thoughts really quickly on that one. Is we're playing the Guardians, which they're the worst team, but you know how sometimes this happens where there's these trap games, and I want us, it's in Orlando. They're a terrible team. You got to take advantage of that. But like, what do you do to avoid a trap game after, I don't know what's going to happen in this game, obviously, but you can't lose 2 in a row if we were to lose it. And then you can't, if we are undefeated going into it, maybe even more of a trap,
I think this game, one thing about this coaching staff is that they keep them focused, and they coach to keep them hungry. We've had a couple incidences where this team could have taken some L's. There's been some tough games that they could have just lost. The Battlehawks in the first one, the Vipers in that first one. There's been times where they could have fallen on their face. I expect them to come out and throttle them. I think they're going to unleash the defense. They're going to get after them early. Their quarterback play is not very great. If the Guardians' quarterback play was more consistent, I think defensively they'd be better. The problem with their defense is their linebackers are slow, and they don't cover well on the back end, especially safety play. And some of that has to do with their front seven or their front four don't get after. They don't get a lot of penetration. So I think they're going to own them. Just like everybody else has owned them, the defenders will own them too. I don't think it's even close.
Yeah, I mean, the Renegades only beat them, 10-9. They've had a couple of close games. They only lost by 3 this past week. But again, the Vipers, I think, were also winless going into that. So but it's just these rules, you never know, how they try to keep things close, and and a lot of the games are close. I'll give the XFL credit for that, but it's important that we don't overlook them. But DJ, thank you so much for your time. I'm gonna get Carol's thoughts on the upcoming schedule as well, but I wanted to let you get out of here. Are you watching the March Madness? I'll just ask you that real quick.
I am, yeah. I've been trying to catch it as I can. It's been some great action, a lot of upsets, man. I did not do a bracket this year. I didn't even have
either.
time.
None of us did. A lot of us were bracketless. I'll have to get us back on making a new bracket for next year. But it'll be interesting. But I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that you enjoy the next couple of weeks. Hopefully we'll have you back on in a couple of weeks when season 8 comes back, and we'll get your thoughts on how this last 2 weeks went. And appreciate your time as always.
Yeah, indeed, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. 7 years, man. Wow. Long time.
Yeah, it's been fun. So I appreciate it as always, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother. Yes, sir.
All right, man. Bye.
Later.
All
right, Carol, I do want to get your takeaways on this upcoming 2 games. We're playing the best and then the worst, but you know how things go in sports. It's not always a pre-written script. What are some of your thoughts on the upcoming schedule?
Like Dujane said, I feel like the coaching staff has this team ready. I don't think that they're going to overlook anyone. They're going to, think that they're just because they're undefeated at any given Sunday or Saturday that they couldn't lose. So I think that they have a good mindset. They're hungry. They're playing as a team. And I feel like they're going to, they have a chance to go undefeated and 10-0. They continue playing the way they're playing as a team, causing, turnovers. They have a plus 44 and scoring differential. So, I mean, everything is going in their way. I don't see, barring injury, I don't see anything slowing this team down. They're healthy. They're playing good ball. They're running the ball well. They're controlling the tempo. Both lines are playing well. It's hard to say, but you don't want to say this, but it's pretty much playing some perfect football right now. all the things are coming together right for this team right now. Like I said, they fix their special teams issues on some of the returns, and they'll be a hard team to beat.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited for next Monday's game. I hope that I'm able to at least it's on ESPN Plus, so I can get it anywhere. But I definitely will have to tune in and see parts of that, just because it should be an interesting matchup. I mean, it's the best in one conference versus the best in the other. I know they do have a loss now, but it's still an exciting matchup for sure. And I want to get Champ. I want to get your thoughts on this week's game, and then the obviously upcoming 2 games as well.
Uh-oh, did the audio go out again?
Robbie muted.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
No, I was saying, Champ, what were your thoughts on the on this week's game?
Oh, well, the first thing was that this was the first XFL game where it was a scoreless first quarter, which hasn't happened, which is crazy. But then I think the funny irony about this game was that the first Battlehawks game, turnovers killed St. Louis, whereas this time it was turnovers and penalties. They had 10 penalties in this game, and they were a lot of penalties that really killed a lot of their momentum and things of that nature. And also, really, this Defenders team has finally found their identity offensively, which is what I've been talking about the last 3 weeks. They are a running team. They are a running team. They lead the league in rushing yards. They're almost at 1,000. We're already halfway through the season. So that shows you that they are a running team. Jordan Ta'amu is a really talented mobile quarterback. And Smith he's him. I said that in our group chat, Robbie. He's him. That dude, over 200 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, including the 2 longest rushing touchdowns in the XFL this season. Absolutely shows that this is a running team. And if they can keep that going against a Roughnecks team that has the second best passing offense in the league, I think they can win this game and continue this undefeated streak, but they have to be able to grind it out. They have to be better on time of possession. St. Louis is better than them on time of possession this go around, but they still were able to grind it out with the run game to be able to win this game. And then that interception at the end of the game, which was clutch after giving up that big touchdown pass from by AJ McCarron. The defense is solid. Offense has found their identity and found what their niche is, and I think that they're full steam ahead at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm pretty impressed. I think that they have the right players in the right spot. I think they also have the right coaches, getting them in the right, tools as well. So I'm hopeful for that they can continue the ball rolling here. And I definitely think we'll probably have a loss. I'd be shocked if we go 10-0, just because it's hard to do that in any sport. But I hope that we're able to continue to play well. Carol, any other thoughts that you have on this XFL season so far, or the upcoming schedule, or anything else you want to talk about?
I think the XFL is definitely on to something, especially with the conversions, 3.2.1 point, no point after touchdown. So that's something that's unique with the league that I definitely like. Like I mentioned, the kickoff returns. How to do that. I'm hoping maybe the NFL incorporates that to add another element back to the game that's been taken away with the 25-yard kickoff and all of that BS. It's going to be a good season. Like I said, hopefully I'll be able to get down to one of the games before the playoff game. I have access to the tickets. I was supposed to go to the game the week before when they were home, but didn't work out. But definitely going to check them out. Love the football, off season, the NFL. Have another quality product to look at. The Rock, I think he struck gold, and he knows what needs to be done. And I think this could be the start of hopefully something that give us something to watch when the NFL is in the off season, instead of just watching the waiver wire and the draft tracker and all of that stuff. We can actually watch some real football.
Yeah, I love that they took a couple of years off to get the product right. They didn't just rush it back to market. They knew that COVID had to die down a little bit, and they had to get the right pieces in place. And I'm excited because it's just year one. I know we kind of started in 2020, but I kind of wiped that. I mean, I think that's version 2. This is version 3 in my mind, and version 3. This is year one. They can only go up. They can continue to build on the parts that are working. It's tweak the ones that aren't, and I really like the product. I really like what ESPN's doing with it, and it's actually getting pretty decent ratings.
Yeah, the way they
And
give the inside with the coordinators calling plays and everything. That's like you say, they give more insight for fans to learn and at least know some of the terminology, some of the things.
I love the replay booth. I love that we get to
Oh,
hear what they're
yeah.
seeing. To me, that's the number one thing, because there's
Yeah.
always a question like, what is the booth seeing that we're not, right? They're walking us through it. And so you can live with whatever the decision is, in my mind, if they can be walked through it properly, And so I think that's something that the NFL really needs to look into. And I love the fact that you can review anything. So, there's like these non-reviewable and some are reviewable plays in the NFL. I like the fact that if there was not a penalty call, they're like, hey, you missed something. And then they're like, hey, look, they're right, And I think
talking about that in the NFL for a long time now. They're showing that another league can do it, so there's no reason why they can't do the same thing.
Yeah.
Unless there's something else behind it. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, it does. I do like that it's a transparent league, and I like that it is one ownership of the whole thing. It's not different franchises with competing purposes and all that sort of stuff. That sure, they're different teams and they were rooting for our team. It's kind of weird, Carol. They don't live here. Like, they all go back to Texas after every game. That's crazy to me. Like, it's the only professional team I've ever known that to be. Like, they fly to DC to play here. It's like a road game all the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, with a semi-pro league, unfortunately, when you
got
make the millions and millions of dollars, they have to go back to where they're from. They don't have the, mansions to buy.
Well, they have everybody in all the training centers. They have it all in one place. They all do it in a complex, and so instead of paying for separate training facilities all across the country and stuff like that.
Smart. That's smart.
Yeah.
That's definitely, they, like you said, they thought about some of the things logistically that help keep the league afloat, that you don't have, like I say, all these other facilities that have to get upkeep and maintenance and have to pay staff and all of that stuff. So that's some insight that I didn't even know. So that's another formula that might make this league a success this time. And then when they make more revenue, then if they wanted to branch off in that way, they could. But that's definitely solid thinking, and another good sign that this league will hopefully stay around this time.
Yeah. Champ, do you have any other thoughts that you wanted to add on to our XFL talk before we let Carol go and switch into our NBA talk?
Yeah, we mentioned earlier about the uniqueness of the 1, 2, and 3-point conversions. Little known stat here: DC actually leads the league in successful 2-point conversions with 8. The next closest one is actually our opponents this week, the Roughnecks, with 5, and only the Battlehawks and the Sea Dragons have successful 3-point conversion attempts. The Sea Dragons have the most with 3, and the Battlehawks have 1. So there's a lot of teams going after.
Only attempt 2. I don't remember us doing anything but a 2. Do you know?
I haven't seen a 3-point conversion either. It would be nice to see one and see how it plays out. I mean, with the diverse running game that this team has, they could probably find an exotic zone read to get a 3-point conversion because they're coming from the 10-yard line, or figure out a nice zone read fake into like a slant for 3 points. So you never know, but I would love to see at least DC attempt the 3-pointer and see what happens.
Yeah, I think it'd be good practice for like if we need to do it later on to catch up in a game or.
I don't think
something.
that they don't have that RG3 Pierre Garcon slant tape footage. So if they need it, I know they're gonna pull that joint out. That play was a guaranteed 10 yards every time.
Yeah, I agree. And so it's interesting that we seem to just always go for 2. We don't try for 1. We don't try for 3. It's just that's been our and different teams have had different approaches, whether they're up or down in time and things like that. So we haven't been down big late to try the 3, or we haven't been up by so much where maybe you try a 1 just to salvage it, just to keep it going a little bit. So we've been kind of in that middle ground, but it's just sort of interesting to think about. And the strategy, it makes it very unique, and I kind of like that.
Definitely. It's something to, different little edge to the game that, changes things up.
I also like the college rules with the regards to timing. The ball stops on a first down and things like that. I don't.
That's kind of cool too. They incorporating that from college. I'm not really pro or con against it. It's, another nuance to the game that's changing up from the NFL. So I'm not really mad at it. That adds a different, dynamic.
And for people that are coming from college, maybe, that go to the XFL first before the NFL, it could be an interesting way as a jumping off point too. So, it's kind of cool. All right, Champ, any final thoughts before I let Carol go?
Yeah, I'm just excited for the remaining half of the season. I mean, this team is looking amazing, and hopefully they can be able to keep it going. I am worried about that Orlando game you mentioned earlier. That could be a trap game, seeing as though Orlando still has not won a game this season. I don't want them to go into this game thinking it's a slam dunk, and then they end up getting slam dunked in Orlando. They need to bring the pain like they've been bringing the pain in these first 5 games, bring the pain against Houston because they're the second best team in the league, and just really, really just bring it. I want to see another championship to DC.
That would be awesome. That if in season 8 we could bring theirs to add to it, because we've got the Mystics, we've got the Caps, the Nats, the Valor.
It's been a little while since we updated the District of Champions. So yeah, it would be nice to have another trophy to put up on there. But like I said, I got full confidence in this team that they'd be able to go the way they're playing right now, the way everything is coming together. I can see this team going 10-0 and winning the whole damn thing.
Carol, I have to point out before I let you go, this is the first gift you gave to me when we started this podcast, this shirt right here. Yeah. And it's got our very original logo on it. And I realized
logo.
I realized that people don't even know this logo. People that know me from Twitch, from other things, never seen this and stuff like that. So I had to bust it out for 7 years.
Man, that's a long time ago though.
Yeah, so it was all the different teams that we were supporting in that first year, and I just had the eyes behind it and stuff like that. So it's just I wanted to give a little bit of a throwback to that while we had you on, and it's been fun. We celebrated 300 episodes recently, just a couple of weeks ago, and it's been really cool to be on this ride, and I'm just excited for season 8. We're gonna have our season 8 premiere in just a couple of weeks. This is our season 7 finale, and then with that I'm actually going to maybe do a couple of art streams that week, pop-up ones, because I'm a bachelor for that week. My family's all in Texas while I come back a week earlier. So I'm going to actually design our website logos and all the graphics for season 8 live on Twitch. So people can come and can watch me do some of that art live, and we'll update the website that first week as well. So episode 1 will have the same graphics, but then episode 2 will have all the updated graphics after that. But it's gonna be a really fun season 8 premiere. We're gonna have the NCAA finals live game. We're gonna talk about 2 weeks of the Capitals, which will be really exciting because this is a make or break 2 weeks for the Caps. And then same thing with the Wizards, make or break 2 weeks for them as well, whether or not they're going to make the play-in tournament or not. And then also can recap some of the March Madness and these 2 weeks here for the XFL talk as well. So a lot of stuff, and then we're starting to lead up to the draft as well. So it's going to be a really busy 3-hour show to start season 8, but I'm really excited about that. And I'm excited that Carol hopefully will be able to do maybe some Nationals reports, do some videos about the Nationals in the upcoming months as well. I know that we're kind of packed on this show right now. It's hard to fit the Nationals in, but maybe Carol can do some extra Nationals coverage for us when they come back in April, and we'll definitely go through the scores obviously on the show. But right now it's just so crazy with all the different sports going. But it's an exciting time to be a Washington DC sports fan, and I really appreciate all of the love and support that people have given this podcast over the last 7 years. But Carol, I know that you're a busy guy. I don't want to keep you too long. I know you're going to end your feed as well. But Carol, any final thoughts on season 7 and 7-year anniversary before you get out of here?
As always, man, I appreciate all the fans checking us out. That's been with us from the beginning when it was just me and Robbie, and now with the whole team that we have. Stay tuned this year. Some things is, I always tell y'all things are changing, things are coming. It's about that time. So be on the lookout. Few few months, some changes coming on my end, some things going to be developing, some interviews, some other branches off of Sports on the Hill. Stay tuned for the In the Community segment that I will be producing coming up soon. Different people with different backgrounds to help in the community educate and bring a different side of Sports on the Hill. We cover sports, but we cover a lot more things that y'all about to find out about. So just stay tuned. As always, DC Sports Are the Politics. It's not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do. It's what we love. And we're going to keep on doing it. I'm ready to get out of here, prep for some stuff I got going on. Appreciate y'all as always. Y'all have a good rest of the show. And I'll catch you in a couple of weeks. I'll see if I can make some things happen and maybe come on for the premiere also.
Oh, wow, that'd be awesome. So we'll hope for that, and if not, well, I'm sure we'll see you around on future episodes of Sports on the Hill podcast. It's been an amazing for us to be able to do this together for so long, and it's cool all the different types of games, or all the different types of shows we've done, and all the different types of games we've covered, and all the different things and branches out, and all the different stuff we've been able to do. I mean, yeah, we talk about 300 podcasts, but in that 7 years, we've done over 600 shows, Carol. Like we've done nearly double that. And all the videos, all the promotional stuff, all the highlight reels, all the pre-games, the post-games, it's countless, right? I mean, I have over 500 entries on our website alone, and I know that I didn't get all of them, so like, it's been an incredible run, and I appreciate that we've been able to have this friendship through it all, and I'm happy that Black GOP took a chance on, and Hurt took a chance on us 7 years ago, going into, we started this on St. Patrick's Day. We built the website, built the Facebook, and then we created the podcast, and we went for it. And here we are, 7 years later, still doing the thing. Even more exciting than ever. We used to sit here in the studio, do it together, in times, and then we did it over the phone. We've done it so many different ways, but it's cool that on Zoom we can bring in so many people from all over the country now, and it's an awesome opportunity. But Carol, thank you so much for everything, and we'll talk to you in a couple weeks.
All right, man. Y'all be easy. Have a good show, and I'll catch y'all next time.
Peace out, Carol.
All right, man. Later.
All right. So appreciate Carol for joining us and being a part of it. I'm going to bring in Arun now, and we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk some Wizards real quickly. And then we'll get into the March Madness talk after that. I already said Ryan is lying in wait. So we're going to do an abbreviated Wizards show today. I know that we're running a little bit late. It's 10:45. I know that Davey hasn't rated in quite yet, but we're just going to quickly go over the scores. I'm going to get each one of your thoughts on the week overall and get your thoughts on the week upcoming. We'll try to do this in about 5 to 10 minutes, a little bit faster than normal. There's not a lot of good things to talk about here, so I'm not going to sort of spend too much time on it. But Arun, how are you doing tonight? Arun?
Arun's double muted. I had the same problem earlier, Arun. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You might have to check this. What my problem was that I had the wrong mic.
Oh, yeah, I think Zoom is updated and screwed up people's mics. So I don't know why it's doing that though.
But at least my camera hasn't messed up though.
Yeah, it's been great this whole time. So it's you gotta love technology, man. We do everything to make it right. We test things, do stuff all the way through, and it never works. So but try to jump in whenever you can. We can see if you can hear your audio. Yeah, you're good. All right, perfect. And I think that I've got my screen sharing program working as well. But Arun, how are you doing tonight?
Not bad. The Wizards are playing relatively poorly, but the tournament's going on and the Defenders are still undefeated, and so I guess that's something.
Yeah, it's been an interesting week for sure. Sorry, I quit out of the other thing because I was looking at the scores. Anyway, so we're playing the Orlando Magic next, but let's talk about the week real fast. Trying to get it, so make sure it's arranged correctly on there, and it is. All right, good. So we got the game that we should have won, obviously, against the Pistons, and we did. We won that game 117-97. Then the game that I was really kind of worried about with the Cavaliers playing in Cleveland. We lost that game 117-94. And then the Kings, they kind of crushed us, which makes sense because I believe we beat the Kings in Sacramento earlier this season, which was kind of a surprise at the time. They beat us 132-118. In the first game, the Wizards led from the beginning, and they kind of pushed all the way through, and it was never that close. In the we're going back to the Cavaliers game. The Cavaliers started off strong. They kind of built up a lead. The Wizards kind of made a good game of it, or a game of it in the third, I should say, but then the Cavaliers pulled away once again in the fourth. So is there a particular game that each one of you guys wants to talk about? So I'll start off with you. Ken, is there a game that you particularly want to talk about?
I want to talk about the Pistons game. I watched that game from beginning to end, and they looked phenomenal in this game. And we said it last week. This was a game that was a trap game, but they had to win it because of how bad the Pistons have been playing. And they went out and they won this game like they were supposed to do. They played well from beginning to end. Your big three did well. Kristaps Porzingis. Two of your big three did well, with Kristaps with 18, but Beal had 36. You got some production from Morris and Abdia, Jonathan Davis off the bench. Everybody did their part in this one to make this one a no-doubter against a very poor team in the Pistons. They shot well from the field. As you can see, 51.8% from the field. Still shooting poorly from three-point land, but they made every single one of their free throws, which was a big thing because they ended up winning by 20, but making all your free throws is a big thing when you're in a game like this. So a good all-around win for the Wizards, but it would be the only highlight of what is an abysmal week and what is looking more and more like another season missing the playoffs.
I can't believe they went 22 for 22. That's got to be the most made free throws to go 100% for the Wizards in a very long time. I don't know what the stat is, but I can't remember them going over 20 for 20 ever. I'm sure it's happened, but I can't remember a time. But Arun, what are your thoughts on this game? And then I'll let you pick a game as well.
Yeah, the Pistons are just awful, even like considering they had like 8 injuries. They're just bringing up people from the G League, and I think they only had 8 players. So this had to be a win. The Wizards looked great, and they did take care of business. But this Detroit team may have been like one of the worst teams ever to play like NBA history.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. All right, and Arun, pick a game that you want to talk about.
I'll talk about the Cavaliers game. Just basically, they didn't really get anything from Kyle Kuzma. Like he's supposed to be part of their most important three, but he only had 7 points. And Cleveland's a top 4 seed, and I mentioned before if the Wizards want to make a deep playoff run, like even if they make the playing game, what's the point if they can't even compete against a playoff team like Cleveland? And they weren't even competitive in this game. Beal only had 22 points. Porzingis had 20 points, but there's no room for Kuzma, and the Wizards just struggled. And Johnny Davis had 4 points, but Denny only had 2 points. So when one Wizards draft pick does, like Johnny Davis is still living. He hasn't been as much of a bust lately, but Denny has struggled as of late. That's kind of why the Wizards have not been playing well recently as well.
Yeah, it's just a disappointing week, and we just got to make some runs here, and they're just not doing it. And I just don't know where we want to fall. Do you want to fall further and not just the one spot out of it? Do you want to go for it this week? It's hard to know. I feel kind of differently with this team than I do with the Capitals. The Capitals, I always want them to push for it and play for the future, but I'm not sold on this coach. I'm not really sold on this entire team and how it was constructed. And it's just kind of frustrating. I kind of want a mulligan, and see, I don't know. For me, winning these games isn't going to mean a whole lot because I just don't see them getting very far. Yeah, it's the upcoming week is going to be interesting. We play the Magic tomorrow at 7. We play the Nuggets at home on Wednesday, so it's another back-to-back. And then we play on Friday in Washington as well against the Spurs. And then on Sunday, we go to Toronto to play one of those teams that's right there in the standings against us. So remember, the top 10 make the playoffs. We're just on the outside of it. The Raptors are one of those teams that are also on the bubble. Obviously, the Magic are worse than us. And so you kind of have to, beat those teams for sure. But the Spurs always give us trouble. The Nuggets always seem to give us trouble. I'm gonna start off with you, champ. Which game do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about that Raptors game because that man, the people who made the schedule really like kind of no. I mean, I want to talk about the Nuggets game because the schedule makers kind of screwed us on that one. Because we have to go to Orlando, play Orlando, and then fly back and then play the Nuggets at home. That kind of like got us a little bit there. And that worries me that they have to play it on the road and then get on a flight, get back home. Their legs are going to probably not be under them when they have to play the Nuggets. And so that game worries me. And what really worries me is that the mindset, this team's mindset should be of winning. Even if you don't make the playoffs, don't tank. Because if you can just get to 10th place, you can at least get into the play-in tournament and then try to play your way into the playoffs. All you got to do is just freaking push. Just push. Play the way you know how. Corey Kispert has been a demon from beyond the arc. He needs to get more involved from beyond the arc. There needs to be a situation where he can get a shot from beyond the arc so that we're not seeing him shooting under 30% from beyond the arc. So this Nuggets game worries me because of the fact it's coming off of the road game back on the previous night. I fear that they're going to come out flat. They're going to come out sluggish, no legs, and they're going to probably get rolled by Denver.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if you're trying to win games, you're probably not going to win all 4 of them. So you kind of have to be strategic about it. So I think you push real hard for that Magic game. You probably are not going to have the legs in that Nuggets game, but you kind of have to be like, oh no, on that one, and then really push hard for that Spurs game. And then you have to beat the Raptors because they're one of the teams that are fighting, for you. So, I mean, you have to beat the Magic and you have to beat the Raptors if you want to make the play in my mind, this week. I mean, if you lose both of those, it's going to be rough. I'm going to talk a little bit about the schedule ahead of that as well, just because we're not going to be back until after this next game here. So we're going to have to play the Celtics on Tuesday, March 28th. That's going to be a tough game. It's still in Washington. And then we're playing the Magic again. This time it's in Washington on Friday the 31st. And then we play the Knicks on Sunday, April the 2nd. This is going to be a really rough time period. I mean, we have to beat the Magic, and we have to beat the Knicks, and I don't know about the Celtics, but what are your thoughts on that following week, Ken?
Yeah, so I think the key thing is that you have to win, but it's more important you have to beat the Magic, who are below you in the standings, and you have to beat the Raptors, who are ahead of you in the standings, and you get 2 opportunities to do that in the next couple weeks. So you should be able to do that, and it shouldn't be a problem, but I fear it may be a problem for them. And then you look at that Knicks game, and right now Julius Randle is literally went off for the Knicks in Madison Square Garden with 57 points. He had 52 before the fourth quarter even started. So I already know that's going to be a problem to deal with on April the 2nd is Julius Randle, where he's putting up those type of numbers. But the bottom line is you just got to take and I know this is the oldest cliche in the book when it comes to professional sports, one game at a time. Don't look at, we got to do this to this team later on. Look at the next game and the next game and the next game and just go from there and let it write itself. Don't go ahead of things because you're going to end up screwing yourselves. And this team still has a fighting chance to at least make the play-in, but they just got to do it. That's all it is. They just got to do it. And it starts with the game coming up tomorrow against Orlando. They definitely have to beat the Raptors at least twice in the stretch if they're going to even have a remote chance.
Yeah. All right. Quick thoughts, Arun, because I know Davey's about to raid in, and I'm ruining my own surprise. But we're Arun, quick thoughts on a game in the next 2 weeks that you want to talk about, and then we'll wrap up this segment, and I'll let Champ give his final thoughts before we get him out of here for tonight, at least on the podcast side, and unless you change your mind and want to talk March Madness with us. But yeah.
I'll talk about the Raptors game. The Wizards lost, I believe, 2 out of 3 games against Toronto, and I guess if they want to make a push for the playing game, they definitely do have to win that game. Although I think they kind of seeded the season a little bit with the loss to Atlanta and a couple of these really bad losses, including to the Cavaliers. If they're not, and Porzingis is injured, Kuzma's playing with 2 leg injuries. It's one thing to play hard and try to play well, but if they're getting players injured for the following season, probably for their careers, then maybe they shouldn't kind of push the gas pedal so hard. And then if they miss the playoffs by making the play-in game, they'll probably end up with like the 13th or 14th pick. Whereas if they lose, they could have a chance, a 25% chance of the top 4 pick at the way things stand. So I don't really think that they need to try too hard.
Yeah. All right. I want to let Champ give his quick little shout outs before we let him go, at least from this side. And I know that he'll still probably join us in Twitch or in the Twitch chat. But let people know what's happening on the No Spots podcast this week.
Before I do that, I just want to say I actually did get involved in the March Madness pool at my job for a $50 gift card at Fanatics. My bracket is completely screwed, but I'm still in 3rd place. So as long as if Alabama and Texas make the national championship, I have a chance. But anyway, this week, No Spots podcast, we have 2 streams coming up. We have the final episode of the New Japan Cup recap for season 3. We will look at who won the New Japan Cup between Sonata of Just 5 Guys and the Bullet Club's new leader, David Finlay, plus who won the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match between Hiromu Takahashi, the champion, who's my favorite wrestler in New Japan, and DC's own Lio Rush. It's a match I've been looking forward to since they announced it. Plus, on Saturday, myself and Sith will be looking back at the week that was a wrestling. Plus, we will have a very unique top 10 list. I won't tell you what it is here, but you must tune in to find out what that top 10 list is. And please go back and listen to our episode we just did this past week, where we gave top 10 worst matches of all time. These are 10 matches you should avoid watching if you want to become a wrestling fan. If you want to listen to that, make sure you go to SportsOTHP.com, click the podcast partners button, look for No Spots podcast, and go back and listen to episode 196 and find the 10 matches you don't want to go back and watch if you want to become a wrestling fan, because they were the absolute worst. But that's all I have.
Thank you so much, Champ. I really appreciate you for modding and for being a subscriber, one of our oldest and longest subscribers, being a part of this podcast network that we've been doing here, been a part of for the last 7 years, in your friendship. And I do hope that we're able to catch a football game together later this season. That would be great. And we'll have you back on in 2 weeks to start season 8. And I hope that you have a great 2 weeks, and we'll definitely talk to you soon.
Sayonara.
All right. And